I've heard from some viewers about snakes they have who used to be really well socialized, but now they're starting to act fearful.
Wait, socialization can wear off?
Yeah.
Do you have any other snakes out right now?
No, why?
Oh, no reason. Just you having to explain to Mom, yeah, sorry, Kent got eaten. My snake socialization wore off, and they teamed up and took him down in a highly coordinated, relentless onslaught. He was devoured in seconds. Sorry about that. Hope you weren't too attached to him.
Kent, can we talk about this after work?
I guess.
Welcome to the Green Room. I'm Bob Bledsoe. This is Anya. Today we're going to talk about how I keep my snakes well socialized. We've talked about how to socialize a snake, both babies and adults, and this is just about how I reinforce that on an ongoing basis so that there's always a mutual trust between us and all that work that I did when the snake was younger doesn't slip away. There are 5 points that I want my snakes to understand and that need to be continuously reinforced. Number 1 is that I'm safe. I'm not a predator. Number 2 is anything they're going to encounter in their cage or in the room is safe. That one's not as easy, but we'll talk about it. Number 3 is just because they see me, that doesn't mean I have food. That's a really easy concept for a lot of my snakes and almost impossible for a few others. Number 4 is a really important one that I want to talk about for a second. Snakes don't want to be picked up. Not even yours, sorry. There's never been a snake who's been curled up nicely in their hide or whatever and gone, man, I hope that big monkey comes and picks me up and jostles me around and shows me to a friend. It's just not something that they're interested in doing. Now, they might be socialized so they're tolerant of it, but my guess is that they still go, oh man, this guy again? All right. Hi, Miss Maya. I didn't even pick you up, but I bothered you because I pulled your hide off. This is one of the rare times that she's sitting in a hide. Now, let me be clear about this. She definitely could decide that she wants to come out. She could crawl out onto me or just crawl out of the cage. But that's different than me coming over and picking her up from a spot where she's comfortably sitting or picking her up from where she's exploring around, doing her own thing. Now, proof of that is for those of you who have well-socialized snakes, especially if you have like an arboreal or a semi-arboreal snake, you'll see that when you go to pull them out of their enclosure, a lot of times, even though they're very tolerant of you, they'll wrap their tail around a piece of wood or something like that. And even a ball python that's not arboreal will hook their tail on something, like protesting, right? I love my snakes and I want them to at least have a neutral feeling about me. I don't want them to look at me and go, ah, crap, this guy again? So all that to say that just because the snake sees me, that doesn't mean that I'm going to pick them up. Okay, Maya, I pulled your hide out for this, and that was really stupid because now I can't put it back. Now I am going to pick you up so I can put your hide back. I'm not food. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I know you wish I was food, but I'm not. Hide is going back. Okay. Okay. Excuse me. I got to get you out of the way, babes. Tail out of the way, body out of the way, please. Thank you. There we go. Good enough. Okay, now you can go back in your hide if you want. I'm so sorry for that disturbance. I'm trying to explain how not to bother my snakes, and all I did was bother Maya. Number 5 is just something that I don't want them to have in their brains. I don't want them to think that I'm the guy who startles them all the time. Now, this isn't easy because snakes are easily startled, but I try to be really conscious of it because if they see me every time they get startled, I become the bad guy all of a sudden. So this is the list of things. Let's talk about what I do on an ongoing basis throughout a snake's life to reinforce that list. Number 1, reinforcing that I'm safe and not a predator is pretty easy actually. And it's not about handling them all the time. It's just about having a lot of different interactions with them, and most of which can be hands-off. I might be showing the snake my hand so they can just tongue flick on it, and then I move on, but I'm just around all the time. If I'm handling them, I'm kind of letting them do what they want to do. I'm letting them go where they want. Even if I want them to stay with me, I'll go hand over hand as they're moving. But if Dolly here wanted to move off of this hand and onto this one, she totally could, or onto my shoulder or whatever. So the snake feels like I'm allowing them to do what they want to do. I'm just sitting here at my table working on some stuff, and I had Handsome Dan with me. And I try to keep him with me for a few minutes at least, just so that he stays used to hanging out with me occasionally. But I always also just let him go where he wants to go. And so a lot of times, wherever he goes is still very close to me. Not because he wants to be by me, but he also doesn't necessarily want to get away from me. He's not trying to get away because he knows that I'm not going to always be bugging him, picking him up. Eventually I will pick him up and put him back in his cage, but I let him stay out for hours at a time. So he has been just about 1.5 feet away from me for the last hour and a half, and he'll probably stay there, possibly the rest of the day, who knows. But he just wanted to be around some of this clutter on the table and not trying to hide, not trying to be away from me, just wanted to choose his own spot. And I get that. He likes to make his own choices. Now, I also, for the most part, do choice-based handling rather than what I did with Dolly, which is just bring her out of her cage for the video. But with choice-based handling, I would open her cage and she can decide if she wants to come out or not. Now, I do that enough that my snakes know that whatever they choose, I'm still going to be safe for them. They can choose to crawl out onto me, and that's safe. And they can also choose not to crawl out, and that's also safe, meaning I'm not going to just go in and grab them every time. And for my snakes that like to free roam, I'll often come up to them while they're free roaming and just let them know that I'm still there. Not by touching them or anything, but just standing close to them or putting my hand out so they can tongue flick on it and see that that movement they're seeing in the room is just me. And I realize that most people aren't set up to free roam their snakes, but I'm just giving you ideas of how I let them know that I'm around, where they can see me a lot. And I give them choice-based activities when they're around me. They can choose to do what they want. I'm not personally making them do stuff all the time. I think that really helps in how they perceive me as being a safe person to be around. We're going to talk about number 2 while we scroll the horde of keepers over on Patreon. Those are the folks who help out the channel, but they also get extra perks like sticker packs and t-shirts and hangout sessions, extra content. Hangout sessions both virtually and in person. Are we developing a secret handshake? If we are, I'm not allowed to talk about it. Okay, let's talk about number 2 while Echo decides whether she wants to come out or not. I've given her a chair to climb out on down here. Number 2 is them being comfortable with encountering something new. And that's all about just letting them encounter new things. The more a snake's brain gets to deal with something new, the more they can learn that new things aren't dangerous, right? So this chair, for instance, the first time Echo saw this, you can't even see the chair. Here we go. So the first time Echo saw this chair, she was pretty nervous about it. And now it's what I put in front of her every time to see if she wants to come out, and she just crawls out on it. So now it's a familiar thing. She still tongue flicks all over it, but she's not nervous about it. And it's just one more thing in a huge list of things that was once new for her that she now interacts with. The DNA that's coded into a snake's brain makes them cautious about anything that's new. But if they've had a chance to interact with new things a lot throughout their life, the stress that they feel when coming up to a new thing won't rise to an emergency level. Right, lady? Get your brain working too. It's the cogs of your brain working. You're in food mode still. That's not cool. Is there a way we can get you out of food mode? I'm not feeding. I can't have you out. You can't come out if you're going to act like that. That's not cool. Not cool. Come on. You already bit me today. We're going to talk about that. That happened. Ironically. I'll show you. We'll talk about it. We're keeping you in. You are only looking for food today, and that's a problem. I don't know where I was at there, but for most snakes, the new thing just means introducing new things into their cage, occasionally changing stuff out, throwing a toilet paper roll into a baby snake's cage, or a big log into a large snake's cage. Just something new occasionally. Not all the time, but occasionally. For my snakes that free roam, they notice new things out in the room. They can tell, if furniture has moved or if I bring a new thing in, they notice it right away and check it all out. It's great for their brains. Thanks so much to the Horde of Keepers, and special thanks to our channel sponsors, Black Box Cages, Lane Labs, the Royals Project, and Rare Genetics RGI. Those people are dope, and I would encourage you to support those businesses if you have an opportunity to. Number 3 is you don't want your snake to think that you're feeding all the time. And this is a really easy one for a lot of snakes. And for many snakes, depending on the individual and definitely depending on the species, it's near impossible. My retics, for example, have interactions with me usually multiple times a day. I feed them once every 2 weeks. So they see me a lot, and very rarely, occasionally, do I have food. But they like to keep hope alive. So with snakes like that, and Maya, my black-headed python, who is also always looking for food. With snakes like that, you want to do hook training or tap training. I have a separate video on that. But the point is, just make sure that your snake is seeing you more often than just every time you throw a rat in there. And I think for most of the viewers here, that's probably the case. Now, there's a technique that I do with Echo, Stella, and Maya. These are my three very food-motivated snakes. Even though Stella has never bitten me before, she's always on it, like trying to see if I have food. So when they're just out in the room, or sometimes when they're in their cage, I'll just walk up and put my arm in front, or my hand or something, and let them tongue flick on it when I know they're looking for food. Now, not totally in food mode. This is, I can tell with my personal snake's body languages when they're in superfood mode, and I'm not going to do it at that point. But if they're just sort of food curious, like it's middle of the day like Echo is right now, she's kind of food curious, I'll put my arm in front. Now, that's always worked because I'm really careful. I don't get bit because I am really careful to watch their body language, and as soon as I think they're going to bite me, I pull my arm away. But what that does is it tells them that they might encounter a heat signature when they're sort of looking for food, but that's not necessarily food. By the way, some of you might be thinking, hey, black-headed pythons don't even have heat pits. And that's true, they don't have heat pits, like external heat pits, but they do have at least one behind their rostral scale that's not external, it's an internal heat sensor. And they definitely can see heat. They need to engage their brain a little bit and understand that it's me and I'm not food. It's worked all the time until today. I was shooting this video earlier, talking to the camera, and I had my hand out, and Echo bit me. And it was because I wasn't paying attention. I just had my hand there, and I wasn't watching her to see her body language change or her eyes change or anything. She's kind of looking, oh, damn it. Why? Echo. Kind of looking, oh, damn it. Why? Why? And I got bit. And you know, I always say that a snake that size, their bite doesn't cause any damage. And I'm going to admit that it did cause some damage today because she kind of wrapped the plant while I was trying to get her off my arm. And that plant that she wrapped doesn't do very well anyway, and she almost uprooted it. Like, I think she caused some stress to the plant. You're going to ruin the plant. Let go. You're going to ruin the plant. Okay. That wasn't cool. No problem for me at all. It's just, you know, little red marks. Not a big deal. But the plant could have suffered a little bit. We'll see. By the way, that whole clip isn't making it in here because I had a problem with my sound. I recorded this entire video earlier, but this sound, this thing that I'm wearing, the mic, was having a problem. So I'm now recording the whole video again for you people because I like to have quality videos that you can hear. Did I make the point of that? The whole point is that Echo is a problem today. That's my point. Also, whatever number we're on. So I show them my arm, and I don't get bit because I'm very focused on watching their body language and making sure to pull away before they bite.
Oh, that's great. You know what I like to do? Walk up to the edge of a cliff with a blindfold strapped to my eyeballs.
What?
Sometimes I'll break into a prison and announce that I have Pop-Tarts in my jacket. I'll take a nap in a live rodeo arena. Jump in a pool without my arm floaties.
You know, Kent, we have just a bit more to film here, so if we could just focus.
Yep.
Okay. Number 4 is real simple. If we don't want your snakes to think that you're going to pick them up all the time, don't pick them up all the time. Bear doesn't mind so much, especially because he's sleeping right now. But my snakes see me way more often when I'm not picking them up. They get to tongue flick on my hand. They get to watch me change their waters and spot clean, shift things around, all kinds of things without me picking them up. I approach them when they're out in the room free roaming. I approach them all the time and just show them my hand, just to let them know that I'm still here. That movement that they're seeing, you know, they'll see my movement but not realize it's me. So a lot of times I'm, other than just reinforcing that I'm here and I'm safe and not picking them up, it also lets them know that that movement that they saw was just me, you know, because really I'm the only one walking around this room. So they're not going to see a predator. Oh, there's his face. So a lot of times I'm just putting my hand right in front of their face so they can tongue flick on it. And then I move on. You know, I let them continue doing what they're doing, and I'm not picking them up. So very low percentage of the interactions that they have with me are me actually lifting them up like I just did to Bear. I thought I'd bring Handsome Dan into the snake wall. He's discovered this pothos plant and he likes to sit in it. So I just am wondering if he'll do it again. This is his sky hide, by the way. One reason that I love a sky hide is when they're in it, you can just pull the hide out. You don't have to like grab them. So we'll just see where he goes here. Are we on number 5? We are. We're on number 5. Are you in shed, buddy? You got my fingers, pal. Can you let him go? Oh, you got your plant. Can you see that he's in there? There he goes. So number 5 is just being mindful of little things. We don't want to startle them all the time. They're going to think of us as a scary person if every time their heart starts racing, they see us right there, right? At least that's what I think. Anyway, that's what I assume. I don't want to be the guy to startle them all the time. So it's about being mindful of what startles them. And, you know, a lot of times it's just picking them up or touching them. So that's why, one of the reasons why I'm always showing them my hand is doing that first before I go in to pick them up so they know who it is, especially when they're out in the room, especially certain snakes. Stella, who's never fearful, I've learned that if she's out in the room and I walk up to her behind her and I go to pick her up, she'll run because I guess she doesn't know what it is. She assumes it's a werewolf or something. So I make sure now that I let her tongue flick on my hand, let her know that it's me, and then I go to pick her up and she's fine. By the way, also keep in mind, this is something that I've talked about quite a bit, but snakes' processing time is a lot slower than ours. So for one thing, when I let them tongue flick on my hand, it's not like me showing a dog my hand where they just sniff for a second and that's it. I let them really tongue flick, understand who that is. It's the same thing with when they're startled. You know, for us being startled or a dog being startled, we go, ah, oh, it was just you. Okay, no big deal, right? Really quickly realize that it's not a problem after we were startled. For a snake, they get scared and they run or maybe it's either fight or flight, and it's like that for a while until it starts to dawn on them that they're not being attacked. It's a much slower process, which means that they're staying in that sort of emergency situation in their brain a lot longer than maybe a mammal would. So that's why them being startled is a little bit bigger deal than us being startled. So a lot of these socialization techniques have to do with understanding your particular snake, allowing them to see you and interact with you often, not necessarily with you handling them all the time, and letting them make their own choices a lot of times while you're around, so they know that you're not the person that's always forcing them to do things. So let me know in the comments what you do with your snakes on an ongoing basis to keep them socialized. And let me know if you have any questions about this, because I might include your question in an upcoming video. Dude, are you happy right there? That's your new spot, isn't it? You like it right there. Hey, thanks for watching. See you next week.